This is your boy JB. Obviously, you know what it is. You already know who I'm here with. Tell them what's up with you today, Skig.
Everybody, you know what it is. It's your boy Skig, man. We about to talk some good stuff today.
Yeah, we got some really good stuff on tap for you guys today. We had a question from one of our fellow Around the Block podcast, the Whiter Hashes. Our boy Seth Steer asked the question, who are some of the best players that we saw or played with that didn't live up to expectation, then guys who surpassed our expectations? So we'll answer that question. We're going to talk about how dreadful fall camp is because I don't think other people understand that and how tough that is on a college athlete. Then we're going to move to our teach tape section, and we're going to talk some split coverages and discuss their purpose and just talk through a couple or even just talk through one, which is the simplest one, which is cover 6, just to give you guys an idea. And obviously, we're going to get to my favorite segment, Sciggy Says. Got a throwback this week for Sciggy Says, for the Sciggy Says part. And obviously, we're just going to close the show up. But first, to open the show, I actually wanted to talk about something. I haven't told Sciggy about it yet, so I don't want to talk about it. So we even took one thing off of the agenda for today just so I could discuss this, because it's actually something that happened to me this morning. And obviously, we came here, we put the podcast together. We want to talk about the real stuff and talk about the real things about our life. And I experienced something this morning that probably was a product of me being a young African-American male. So I'm gonna say the company and the place and everything. So me and my homeboy, every single morning, he plays at Coastal. His name's Jameer. We go to the sand pit at Upward in Spartanburg. And, you go to the sand pit, try and get your footwork a little better. We do our footwork, do our drills in the sand, just kind of play with some resistance a little bit. And we're there every morning. We intentionally go early around 9, anywhere between 9 and 10 o'clock. We go early, just like we're not in the way of people, because obviously it's a place. They have 2 volleyball courts, and there's like 4 different parts of the sand. It's like we're only in one section of the sand on one of the volleyball courts. It's like we're out of the way and everything. People aren't there in the morning. No one's ever there in the morning when we come there. The only problem we've ever had is a Saturday where every single person was there for a lacrosse tournament. And this morning, we're out there in the sand pit. Some people come back. Some people come back there this morning. They start getting out their cars. So they're about to play a sand volleyball game, which we didn't. We don't have a problem with, because we've seen people actually come there and play sand volleyball games, and they don't ever really talk to us, ever bother us. They just go ahead and play on one of the other courts or whatever. So we're sitting there. Actually, yeah, there is 4 courts. So we're sitting there in one of the courts in the front, doing our drills, everything. And all the people behind us, they've already set up their little area where they're going to play their volleyball game at. They're practicing, getting their little sets up and everything. So all of a sudden, a man comes up. He comes in. He's like the last person to come to the game. So he comes in. He walks over to us and he goes, "Hey," it's a white man. He comes over to me and my friend Jameer. He goes, "Hey, are you guys can you guys mind moving courts?" And at first, like, just being the person I am, I was like, "Oh yeah, we don't mind." And then I thought about it, and I was like, "Wait." I said, "Wait, excuse me." I said, "Yeah," and I said, "Wait, hold on. Is there something wrong with the other courts around us?" And he was like, "No, there's nothing wrong with the other courts. We just play. This is just where we play." Blah blah. And in my mind, I'm like, "Well, this is just where I do my sand work every day." You see what I'm saying? Like, if your excuse is this is just where we play all the time, why can't my excuse be this is just where I do my drills at all the time? And he was like, "Well, there's nothing wrong with them. This is just where we play every day." Blah blah. He starts going on another little tangent about stuff, and then he asked me, "Are you a trainer here?" I was like, "No, I don't. I'm not a trainer here, but I have trained here before." Jonathan Bullard trains at Upward, so I was up there last week working out with him, one of my old teammates. And I was like, "Yeah, the trainer that trains him doesn't really care about us being in the sandpit, blah, blase, blase." So then he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, well, do you guys reserve the sandpit?" And now, keep in mind, I'm not tooting my horn here, but I'm a very intelligent young man at the end of the day. So you can feel when somebody's trying to outsmart you. And not only was he trying to outsmart me, but excuse my language, Mom, if you listen to this, he was trying to big dick us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because here's what he says next. He says, "Oh, well, I'm a trainer here, blah blah blah. And do you reserve any courts, or do you ever reserve any of the courts around here?" And so my thing was, if you have to reserve a court just to be able to be there, then tell us that. That's fine. And if you did have to reserve a court, then why didn't you just come to me at first and say, "Hey, we have these courts reserved," can you move to another one? Then I would have moved because we didn't reserve the courts. So I'm sitting there like, okay, well, if you guys really need this court that bad, like, is there something wrong with the courts over there that is hazardous to like you guys playing? Like, is there something wrong that's hazardous to your health? Like, is there something dangerous about the courts over there that you can't, that's not set for sand volleyball to play over there, or something like that? I'm asking them all these questions just to figure out, is there a safety problem or something? Because if there is, like, we'll go to that side because we're just doing drills. Like, if there's not enough sand in that pit or something, for all I know, I don't know anything about sand volleyball. So he's like, oh, well, so basically I was just getting around to the point saying all this stuff to him to get him to understand, like, what you're doing is rude. Like, we were already here and you're asking us to be the ones to move courts when there's the same exact number of courts right there next to us. But just because you play here all the time, you feel like you're entitled to that space. And I was like, I said, I just don't understand why it would be a big deal for you guys to not have to move instead of us since we were already here. I said, I'm here every morning, blah, blah, blah. He said, now, you say you're here every morning, but I work here. So he's like, I've never seen you. I'm like, I just come out here early. There's no one ever here. I said, whenever someone does come, they don't even bother us. They don't talk to us. They usually just go play on other courts, which, like, it's not a big deal to me. It's a public space or whatever. Like, I don't care. It's like, as long as we don't bother anybody. So eventually I convinced him to go play on the other courts. Next thing you know, we're wrapping up a little bit. He looks over at me. I was like, oh, we only got about 15, 20 minutes left, so you guys can get back on this court here in a second. He goes, oh, yeah, my buddy over there said he saw you guys here last week playing, so it's fine. So I'm guessing his friend told him, nah, like, these dudes are cool, like, they don't bother us. And my thing was, he was like, we always use this court. I was like, okay, but your friend here was the same guy I saw last week come here, and he saw us, and he just went to a different court. Like, it wasn't a big deal. And then he starts telling me, he says, well, if we play on these courts, the thing is, if we have to play on those courts over there, then we have to chase the ball further into the street. And I said, okay, well, why didn't you just tell me that the first time that all this happened? Because when I asked you, is there like a certain advantage or disadvantage of playing on those courts as to why you can't play over there? And what's so different about it? I said, if you would have just told me that in the beginning, that you guys don't want to have to chase the ball further into the road, then I gladly would have moved because I would understand that. Like, you coming over there and just telling me that we have to move just because you work here, this is your space. Like, even if you do work here, like, that doesn't entitle you to that space if the principle that you were going on first was that you have to reserve a court. And since obviously I didn't have to reserve a court, because if that was the case, you would just told me all those were reserved. I was like, I'm not an idiot, dude. He just kept trying to work around the circle, and I'm sitting there thinking in my mind, we're talking about Upward, which is supposed to be, me and you, we're men of faith. Upward is supposed to be a Christian organization. And there's nothing Christ-like about the way that guy approached me and my friend. It's like, it's just showing, all you have to do is just show a little bit of kindness. Like, even with him being an a-hole to me, I was trying to look out for them and say, oh, like, is there a specific reason, like, we have to leave? Because, like, we've already been here. And on top of that, we done already messed up the sand. We done all these footwork drills and stuff. Like, the sand, we done messed it all up. It's like, why would you guys want to play here anyway? It was another thinking of mine. Like I said, I don't know nothing about sand volleyball. So it's like, just exercise some level of kindness. I'm like, oh, like, is there like a hazard? Like, do you guys have to play over here? Because, like, obviously we didn't want to. Like, I just felt like, why do we have to move of all people? And on top of that, you can't tell me that you can't say it's a private space because, like, the field's there and everything. They lock them. They have them gated and say field's closed if you can't get on the field. That's fine. I don't climb the fence to get on the fields or anything. Now, that would be wrong. The sand pit is just an open space in the back of the building or on the side of the building, just open space, no locks, no gates, no nothing. So you can't tell me that's a private space, especially when the day that it's packed the most is on Saturdays when they have like tournaments, basketball tournaments, volleyball tournaments, lacrosse tournaments and stuff in the fields out there. And sometimes the parents bring their like younger kids up there just to play in the sandbox and play with their toys in the sandbox, but that's never a problem then. So I was like, okay, just because you're a trainer doesn't mean I have to move. Like, and plus, if your thing is I have to pay, then tell me I have to pay to be in the sand pit. That is fine. I will do that. Like, you're not about to finesse me. Like, I'm just out here just being a broke boy. And he goes, well, we're just out here all the time with, these are our college alumni that come back and play. And I'm like, dude, me and my buddy here, college football player, just looking for a place to train, like just some sand to train in. Cause like, it's hard to find a sand pit everywhere. Like, I can find a grass field anywhere and get on it. Like, training sand is different. It's a different element. So we're just trying to find a sand pit. And obviously, if this was blocked off, I wouldn't have come here. So that's just one of those things that just blew me. It's like, whether it's a matter of him being an entitled white man or him being an entitled white man that feels like he can speak down to young African American men, that's for someone else to decide if it was a racial thing. My biggest point was just exercise some level of kindness, some level of sincerity. Like, I just get really irritated. Like, I'm not a person that loses my cool at all. And like I said, I don't argue. And I didn't argue with him at the end of the day. I was just saying things to him that made sense. And he was starting to get a little upset that I was making sense to him. So, and I see all his little friends in the background, like looking over there, like, oh, is there a problem? Is there an issue? Like, they're expecting me to spaz. Like, I just sat there, kept my cool. It's like, why can't you exercise some sort of like why do you have to be an a-hole about it and approach us in that way and then get upset with me when I ask, well, why do we have to move if we were already here? Why do you have to take our court when there's 3 other courts open? The same way you just walked onto the court next to us and started warming up, you can walk on the courts over there and just start playing. On a sand pit that hasn't been touched, the sand is still fresh, there's no holes in it, there's nothing to it. Like, your day would have been so much easier if you just went over there and played. You would never have to talk to me. You never have to say anything, ask a question or anything. Now, if you reserved it, I understand. If there's some sort of safety advantage, I understand. Like having to chase a ball in the street, I get that. You don't have to chase a ball in the street. Fine, that's cool. Like, and I told him, I said, all it is I'm sitting here telling a grown man who's like, looks like he's at least 40 or older. I'm sitting there telling a grown man about what we talked about in the last episode. I said, look, sir, like, that's all it is at the end of the day. Like, I just want you to be able to communicate with me. Like, just communicate. Like, don't come at me this way or come at me a certain way. Just communicate what you're like. Your excuse of you just want to be on this court because this is where you play is not good enough. At the end of the day, if we're talking about a public space that's shared by the public, by a company that says they're built on Christianity and founded on Christian principles. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just what rubbed me the wrong way. Any thoughts on that? Feel free to drop in.
Yeah, man. Honestly, that sounds like he was just trying to show he had authority or show off for his friends or whatever his intentions were. But like you said, dude could have just either just asked nicely and told y'all what it was, or just went to another court. Because at the end of the day, like you might not be as old as him, but all y'all grown men. Like, you're not gonna disrespect you just because he feel like it. But I mean, I can relate to that, man. I think when I was 19, I got a buddy that lived in the country club area, and I love to fish, man. So
exactly.
I was like, man, yeah, let's go out to y'all's pond one day and fish. And we out there fishing. Dude comes up to us. He's like, if y'all don't leave now, I'm gonna call the police. I'm like, huh? Like, what's good with that, man? He's like, yeah, y'all gotta get out of here. And so whole time, dude doesn't know, like, my buddy lives there. So like, we're good there because if you live in the country club, you have access to. And he started going off and on. I was like, so what's the rules to be able to fish here? The whole time I'm knowing we're good. And he starts going on. He's like, yeah, you gotta either pay for a membership here or live within the neighborhood to be able to fish here. And I was like, oh, cool. So if I were to live here, like, could I bring a friend? He's like, yeah, but one of you has to have residence or membership to the country club. I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. So why do I have to leave? Bang. He wanted to get mad then, because the boys, we were doing stuff legit. And I'm not really the type of person to like sneak in nowhere. Like, I don't go nowhere where I don't.
Yeah, we can't afford to be doing stuff like that. Yeah.
And I ended up leaving just because of the fact, like I ain't want to have to get into it with nobody or somebody be watching me the whole time while I'm fishing or whatever. Like, I just go to fish to clear my mind or whatever. But yeah, dude was acting wild, so we ended up just skating, going somewhere else. But yeah, man, it's a shame how, like, I mean, he was an older white man, and I guess he just assumed that just because we were young black men, like, we couldn't afford to be in that area or what it was. But like, I was like, man, That honestly, that's some BS, bro. Like, you could have at least asked if we lived there first.
Yeah, that's the first question you should ask.
Like, you could have at least tried to check and see if we had membership or residency.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, off the rip, say he was gonna call the police. Like, come on, bro.
For
Like,
what?
and that's why a lot of things escalate further than they have to within our country, bro. Because off the rip, they trying to call the police, and the whole time I'm allowed to be here. Now I'm proving to you and the police that I'm supposed to be here when you could have just asked me and I would have answered. Cause
Yeah,
I'm
like how do y'all have access to your? Oh, my buddy lives here. That's like this. Where his guest?
off the rip.
It's that simple. It's like the
And he
dude
could
was
have
hit.
went about his business. I could have went about my business, and we would have been
Y'all
good.
both y'all days would have been great.
Great, bro. Great. Now
He's trying to
instead,
disturb my peace.
I done made him look stupid in front of his boss or whatever, and now I'm pissed off. So both our days run instead of just
Exactly.
like that's why I say my life motto is just spread positivity. It's in my Twitter bio. It's what I say at the end of the show. Just spread peace and love. But at the same time, I ain't no little bitch. Like I'm not about to just let nobody disrespect me. So it is what it is, man. But
it's just like the guy comes to me and the first question you asked was, can we move courts? The first question wasn't about any of the requirements that it takes to be able to be there. Like, if I have to have some sort of requirement to be there, it's like, oh, are you guys members here, or do you guys have these reserved? Like, why don't you just ask me that first? And not to mention, since like I get there at like 9 o'clock or so, the people that work there are like filing in for work throughout the time that I'm in the sandpit. Nobody asks me any questions. They just file in, go to work. Some people wait. Some people say hey to me, like good morning, blah blah. They don't seem to have a problem with me being in the sandpit. But now you feel like I'm in the space that or you say that I'm in the space that you feel entitled to. You feel some type of way. And it's like, okay, from now on, I'm gonna go to the sand pits on that side, just like the people who do. Because like I never thought of obviously I never thought, oh, well, people that play sand volleyball on that side will have to chase the ball a little further than the ball can roll down the hill. That's the back side right there. Like I never had a problem with it because the only time that I saw a person come during the time that I was there and play volleyball, which was the guy who was his friend that saw us that one week, he just went to the other side. He didn't say anything to us when we were there. He just took his stuff off, went straight to the other pit. Didn't ask us to move. Didn't ask anything. So I'm assuming all pits are equal at the end of the day, right there.
Yeah. Right.
So I didn't think anything of it. Like now, I'm gonna go to the other pit, just thinking, oh, if somebody does come, then it'll be better for them to play going that way. That's me being thoughtful. It's like, why can't you be that level of thoughtful? It's like he had to go back and find a reason after I asked you multiple times if there was any advantage or disadvantage, and you just kept saying, well, no, it's just that this is where we always play. And then, well, no, we have our alumni coming back and we just like to play right here. And then we rotate, blah, blah. And I was like, you don't even use all 4 courts. I'm not understanding like what the rotation has to do with us playing on this one. That's just one of those things that blew me. Like,
honestly,
like that.
This same topic circles back around to what we talked about in episode 1, just about how like black quarterbacks who are labeled as like they don't work hard or they don't care or whatever. It's like black men are automatically given this persona or personality that we don't have all the time. Like I mean, every race has their group of people that are just not caring or idiotic or whatever. But like every time that we're lined up against somebody, we always get the negative values, even if like my passion can be seen as aggression to you, but just like the Odell Tom Brady situation a couple years ago.
Oh God,
Odell was
its leadership.
One's leadership and one's a diva. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. It's just something that's been put on our back since we came out the womb, and it's something like, honestly, I don't see getting no better. I know we fight for change and whatever, but it'll be by the time my kids have kids that I think there'll be change. You know what I'm
And that's
saying?
what we
Hopefully.
fight for at the end of the day too, though. Like
Yeah, facts.
obviously we understand like this is the world we're gonna have to live in. But, like I don't want my kids to have to live in
Yeah,
this same
exactly.
live with these same things. Like just because I just want to go to the sand pit and work on my feet, like that shouldn't be a big deal. And if, like I said, if the fields had say closed or anything, and there's like a thing that has rules rules on the back of the sand pit or like the wall next to it, I read the rules one day. It didn't say anything about it being a private space. So if that's the case, then that's the case. And to be honest, if they all would have came out and had a bunch of people and they needed 4 courts, I would have said, "Oh yeah, y'all got it. Y'all got a whole group playing today.
Yeah,
Blah blah.
facts.
I can just come back tonight or something. Like y'all obviously need all the space." But it was like maybe 10 people, and they could have just
10 people, that's one court.
like, and like it's not my fault that y'all wanted to play 2-on-2. Like what they got to do with me at the end of the day? Like I have to inconvenience myself just because you feel entitled to this area, just because you're a trainer. It's not like you're the CEO of Upward. If it was the CEO or something, I'd say, oh yeah, bro, you got it. But even if you're the CEO and you got to reserve a spot, you better have reserved courts 1 and 2 if you
Yeah,
want me to get out. Because
facts.
I ain't reserved just like you didn't reserve. If that's what you have to do there. So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. You're not gonna disturb my peace. You're not gonna ruin my day. It was just one of those things. Like I just can't believe this man really just tried me like that. Like my friend was sitting there watching the whole time, and he's like, man, you better than me, man. He said I would probably
Yeah,
got us kicked out of here or whatever. And like you could just tell on the man's face that he was getting visibly frustrated. The more that I was starting to make sense, like the more sense that I was making every single time what I was saying, because I was like I said, I was trying to inadvertently tell him what he was doing was rude. Like, because at first I was about to say that's just rude. Like, why would you just tell us to move when we already been here? Like, that's just rude at the end of the day. But I was like, no, I'm gonna let him figure it out, put the pieces together himself. You want to act intelligent? Okay, I'm gonna give you a test. Let's see how long it takes you to figure out that you're kind of being a douchebag. So that's fine. But anyway, we're gonna pass on from that topic. We hope you guys enjoyed that little segment. Like we said, we want to have real talk here. That's real talk. We're gonna move into our question from Seth Steer. Like once again, he said, "Who are some of the best players that you saw or played with that didn't live up to expectations? Then guys who surpassed y'all's expectations." So you can start off. I can start.